strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dorien Morin-van, and we are here on Find Your Inner Nerd Day, August 23rd, with a very special guest. But before I introduce her to you, I want to welcome everybody who is here live with us today. And those of you who might be watching this in a replay, make sure you put hashtag replay in the comments and let us know where you are joining us from. And that there's a special shout out to our podcast listeners. If you are listening to this, thank you so much. And today we're going to celebrate a very special first edition ever day. And my friend Beth Z is here. Find Your Inner Nerd Day. We are so excited to have you here, Beth.
Thank you. May I do a little fanfare about Find Your Inner Nerd Day? May I just celebrate it for a second?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to celebrate it with glitter orange glasses. Yes, indeed. I'm so excited. These I have just for you here because you are the orange glasses queen. And these are glitter orange glasses that I am throwing to celebrate today. Find Your Inner Nerd Day.
That is awesome. I love it. I need to get some of that. I was going to say spaghetti. Oh my gosh. I need to get me some of that. That's awesome. So let me introduce all of you who are watching here live or who are listening to this podcast, why we're celebrating Find Your Inner Nerd Day today. So it is the brainchild of Beth Z. She cuts through the noise to bring you tech tips, tools, and tricks for productivity. Sexy social media, tolerable to-do lists, and truly collaborative collaborations. She's exciting, fun, and packed full of knowledge that she shares in easy-to-digest sound bites. Beth takes the fear out of technology and helps you get right to the point with effective apps and tools that you can integrate into your everyday work and life. Find her on yournerdybestfriend.com. And yes, when our friend Sarah Monroe introduced us, we instantly bonded over orange glasses because you and I had a Zoom call and I'm like, what's on your wall? How nerdy are we?
We nerds unite.
Yes, awesome. Excellent. So Beth, Find Your Inner Nerd Day. Today is the first ever day, 2022 of Find Your Inner Nerd Day. And it's yours. So tell us a little bit what it is, what you want to accomplish, and how people can be part of it.
We're all nerdy. We all have little pieces and parts that maybe it's like a guilty pleasure. We don't even think that we should tell anybody about it. We have all these little pieces and passions and ideas behind the scenes. They're more than hobbies. They're things that really make us happy. And sometimes we think we're the only one, or we're just kind of in this silo, or we don't want to tell anybody about this, or what have you. But nerds get excited about something. Author John Green was the one who says nerds unsarcastically, completely enthusiastically love stuff. So I'm like, let's tell the world what we love. Find that thought about yourself and that habit and that hobby and that thing that you do and share it with people.
So it does it have to be an online tool, or does it have to be an online hobby, or it could be anything?
Absolutely anything. My thing is tech, right? I am forever looking for tech. It makes me so happy. Another thing that mine is pitch perfect movies. I adore them. I love them. And musicals and things. Now, this is not something that ordinarily I would tell people because it's pretty nerdy and it's a little embarrassing. And I love the Pitch Perfect riff-offs where they're doing the a cappella and they sing all together. It just makes me so happy and I know all the words. This is nerdy. It's ridiculous, but that's a different kind of nerd. Like what's your, besides technology, which we bond on, besides fashion, which we bond on, what is your nerd side? What little things that are behind the scenes?
Ooh, well, I've got a good one. I moved to Vermont 3 years ago, and one of my sons has always been interested in fungi. So he would go out and learn about them and study them. And there's some really cool documentaries on Netflix. So he asked me to watch them, and I sort of did. And then there was a guy at the farmer's market who was selling mushrooms. And then he gave me this little folder and he said, "Hey, I do workshops." So I went to a workshop with my son because he actually had a dislocated elbow, couldn't drive. So I'm like, "I'll just drive you." It was a 3-hour thing. I'm like, "I'll just stay for the workshop." Long story short, I'm taking another workshop. I'm going foraging for mushrooms. It's a whole new thing and it's very nerdy.
It is. And see, here is my first reaction was, I did not see this coming.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. That part of you that other people would not see coming.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I love that. I love that. And it's something you share. And it's something you can, that's practical. It doesn't have to be like the Pitch Perfect thing, not practical.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that you can share, you can develop, you can become an expert in. And there are people out there who have that kind of passion. Obviously, you met one of the people at the farmer's market and the workshops. And you can share that with them and develop more with that.
Yeah. And you know what? It actually combines, what I love about it, combines all kind of things I like to do. So I like to hike, I like to eat, and I like to do puzzles. And foraging for mushrooms is like puzzling. You have to look at the weather. You have to look at the type of forest that you're walking into. You have to figure out what kind of mushroom you're looking for. Is it on deadwood? Is it growing on the ground? So it's like putting puzzles together. And I love that. So I love the Amazing Race. So it's kind of like I'm in my own Amazing Race trying to find chanterelles, right? Or trying to find chicken of the woods, which is out right now. And so you're going to find this prize. So it's really fun. And then you get to eat it. So
there you go. And I bet all of your listeners who are out there right now or watching us live are like, I did not see that coming. But that's what I want you to realize is that you have these things that like make you totally happy that you can share and find other people who are made happy by the same kind of things.
yeah. So today is Find Your Inner Nerd Day, which is awesome. We're going to like blow this out of the water. The podcast is going to be live. This show is live. So how can people participate? If somebody's watching this right now, how can somebody participate on Find Your Inner Nerd Day?
What brings people together, one of the ways in 2022 is hashtags. So I think you should start with hashtags. If you have a passion like fungi finding,
Foraging.
you can use the hashtag and search around and see what kind of groups are out there. Recently, I found some. I live in Tennessee. I am big on straw bale gardens and fun things like, well, it's fun for me like that. And I found some groups who do that, and the expertise is fantastic. So identify something that's different about you, and then look around and find the people who are next to you. And sometimes the people who share these passions have never like said aloud that they're a Pitch Perfect fan. And so you can use your hashtags, use your social media, use your reach out to share those little pieces of you with others. So do that today. Think about something that's different about you. Make it a point to find other people and make it a point to tell other people what this piece is.
That's awesome because, you know, it's more, even if you're geeking out over something or you're being nerdy about something, it's really fun to find others to talk about it. That's what I have found. I have talked to other local people. I went to my book club the other day and I was telling people that I was foraging and they go, "Oh, did you find chicken in the woods?" I'm like, there was this secret. Everybody knew about this mushroom that's out. I didn't know about it. So like it's like a little thing that everybody in Vermont seems to know that this mushroom's out there and this is the time of the year to go find it. But it was like this secret club. So now that I'm talking about it, I'm finding other people who also know about it. And they're like, yeah, we should go on a hike. Yeah. But the only thing that I haven't found yet, nobody's willing to spill their secrets on where their secret hiding or finding spots are. It's like, you're on your own, girl. You go find them. Just, like, don't tell us because we're not telling you. That's the only thing that has been a little bit harder. Like, we actually have gone to quite a different, few spots and different types of woods to try to find these mushrooms.
Well, you love The Amazing Race, and they don't tell all of their secrets either. They're like, yeah, I got this. You don't got it. You got to find it, but I got it. It's like,
Yeah.
All of these things we're working on together. But chances are you're going to find people who want to collaborate with you with that. And so y'all will go out together. You have books in one hand for the book club, and then you have the map to secret chicken places.
Chicken in the woods.
Chicken in the woods places. But you're like, oh gosh, I've never found them either. Let's collaborate. Let's do this. And if nothing else, you'll end up at a coffee shop with apple pie, and you'll be able to celebrate with that afterwards and make a new friend.
That's awesome. Absolutely correct. So let's tie this a little bit into business, right? Find your inner nerd day. Let's see what we could do. You started this, or you became a nerd because you love all things apps, correct? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I didn't become a nerd. I was naturally born a nerd. I was the chick literally who was during recess in middle school grading papers for the teachers. Like, these are true stories. That meant I didn't go to prom ever. So I was always this person who, I can remember way back in the day when Microsoft would come out with its new Office whatever version, I would like obsess the whole weekend about what's in there, what does it do? And so all of this time I found these little tricks and tips, and here's how I got started doing this. I was dumped in 2007. I was dumped many years in a row, but in 2007 I was dumped, and I was sad and lonely and sitting in a computer, and I was a member of this group, and I said, you know what? I have all these little tech tools that I like. There were web apps at the time because the phone had just come out.
Sure.
And I was like, I have all these little tech tools. Does anybody else have any? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of the secret society, like the mushrooms. Like, oh, I love this one. I love this one. And I made a list, and people started requesting the list. And somebody said, hey, will you come tell our group about this list? And I said, sure. So I went in and told them. And then a guy came up to me and he said, I'm here scouting speakers. You're the only one I want, and I want to get you before you become famous.
Oh,
I know, right? Amazing.
Yeah.
So he said, we will fly you to Vegas, and we will put you up at a hotel, and you can tell our group. And I'm like, that's a thing? So that's how I got started. I realized that my passion, my nerdiness, was something that other people didn't have the time for, didn't have the desire to spend 20 of 24 hours a day finding them. And all of a sudden, the passion that I had, the nerdiness that I had, ended up being how I make my living. Now, I'm going back to your fungi guy, and same thing, right? He's at a farmer's market selling mushrooms. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I talk to people about mushrooms. I have workshops. That's a business model. That is his strategy. And he started with, and I don't know as much about strategy as you do, so maybe I'm misusing that whole concept.
No. It's right. Yeah.
But that passion, something he loved to do, something I love to do, ended up being a way to make a living. Now, that's not true for everybody. The pitch perfect thing is probably never going to pay off for me.
Unless you become a singer and be part of get a headline in a musical.
Or I get to write Pitch Perfect 4, which
there
is
you go.
A better idea for me. Nobody wants the other stuff. But finding something that you're an expert in, that you're behind the scenes spending your time on, how can you turn that passion into some place that makes money or a full-blown business, or even going back to just understanding your business? Do you have a passion for it? Are you an expert, a weirdo, a nerd in that area, so much so that you can build a business on that? And I think these are good questions to ask.
Right. And then the other part to that, and I see that with you, and I know you did that without realizing it, but you bring your own unique self to the table. You have this expertise, but you also have to be you. And you have to realize that maybe not everybody is going to connect with you, but the people that do are going to be your peeps, right? So embracing that nerdiness also means embracing, being okay with being embraced by some and not all. And I think that's one of the things that we struggle with when we're online, and business owners struggle with is, who's going to like me? Is my ideal customer out there? Are they going to find me? But when you show up authentically, and just like that person, you're the only one who I want, and I'm flying you out. They saw something because you were real. And that's something that if you're watching, if you're listening to this, Find Your Inner Nerd Day is all about being real and exposing that part of yourself that you've kept hidden. And that's the stuff that you need to start talking about online if you want to connect with the right people. Am I correct, Beth?
I love that. And I go back to an idea, and this was a challenge I've had in my speaker life, that I have colleagues that I've heard of who don't have organizational skills, but they figured out that if they talk about organizational skills, they might get hired to do that. And it's like, you're just not real. And you're not real. And eventually that will catch up to you. There are people out there who are life coaches who are not very good at their own life, right? So they're not really showing up and being
authentic.
They're not setting their whole business structure on something that is truly a skill they have. And be it a weird, nerdy skill or be it a true skill, you have to have that to build up and have the authentic audience who believes you when you talk about this stuff.
Right. And to have a long-term plan, a long-term strategy, because you can fake it for a bit.
Yeah.
You can get there for a bit. You can be, I'm writing this book or I'm doing this thing. I can teach this, but they're like the one-trick pony.
Yeah.
It's like everybody else moves on and you're still stuck on that, right? So you need to be able to grow and develop. And so when you start with a passion, which is what I heard you talk about, when you start with a passion, when you find something that you love and can make it into a business, that really is a great way to, grow a business. That's a great strategy. If you don't love what you do, you're going to end up not loving what you do for a long time, and you're going to end up not being very successful. So
I want to, I know we've got very little time left, and I want everybody to go enjoy Find Your Inner Nerd Day, but I want to bring up one extra point on that.
Yes.
If you are not an expert, you don't have the passion, you are going to basically steal other people's research and passion and ideas because you don't have them. And this is not an area. So you're going to be like, I'm an organizational person. I'm going to look at other people's organizational work and I'm going to use those and do that. So that is not a long-term strategy. Just like you said, that is not a long-term idea. Yep, you can make some money probably on this, but if you're looking at the long term, you can't keep using other people's passions.
What I hear you say is you have to be a practitioner. Oh. And I think that is really, I have been a social media manager for 11 years. You can give me a headline, I can write a blog. You can give me a picture, I can write a subtitle. I'm the ideas person. I can create social media content if I have only one of the pieces because I've done it over and over and over. I'm a practitioner of social media. And so if you're that inner nerd, you have that practical experience most likely because you've watched those pitch perfect movies over and over and over. You know the words, you know the songs, you know the characters. I was at my neighbor's house who have chickens and they named them all after Stranger Things, which is funny, right? So all the chicks have names from the Stranger Things characters. And I realized I'm not a Stranger Things nerd because I watch the seasons, but I don't know the names. I'm like, that's the difference. Like, you can fake it. I can go online and look them up and name them, but that's not my passion, right? So I could fake it for a little bit and say, oh, I love Stranger Things, but I didn't know the names. She starts naming them. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, I haven't watched the next season yet. But when you're that nerd, when you can name them, when you can meet somebody and you have that instant connection because you're like, this, you remember the scenes, you remember that, then you're truly a nerd. So if you're a practitioner, and if you're a practitioner of whatever field you're in, whatever industry, you're a nerd. Just embrace it, right? So celebrate Find Your Inner Nerd Day with Beth. Beth, I have a banner here. I didn't show it to you before we got on, but it's nationaltoday.com. Find Your Inner Nerd Day. Go look it up. If you use the hashtag Find Your Inner Nerd Day, you get to Beth's website, which is your nerdy friend.
Bestfriend.com.
Yes. And you have some images on there, correct? For people to download or to use. Is that correct? Did I see that today?
Yep. And there's a shortcut. You can go to findyourinner.day.
Ooh, findyourinner.day.
I know. Very exciting. Google this year started a URL of .day. So you can get your own .day stuff. But
that's an exciting tip. Oh my gosh. What can I buy? Oh, I love that. So thank you so much, Beth, for being here. Everybody, let's find your inner nerd day. Let's nerds unite. Let's find other nerds that do what we love to do. And Beth, thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, go out and find the other nerds and connect and learn some new things. Beth, where can people find you online besides this hashtag? Where else can they find you? What social media platform are you on?
I'm not going to tell you that I'm kind of pathetic at some of these, but I'm on Facebook with your nerdy best friend. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, and you're much better at those things, but it's not my nerdiness. Whee!
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Thank you so much to all of you who were here live with us. Thank you so much who are listening to this podcast. Go out and use this hashtag, Find Your Inner Nerd Day. And next year, maybe Beth, maybe you can come back and tell us a little bit more about what happened. I would love to have you on next year on Find Your Inner Nerd Day as well. And for those of you who are regular listeners and watchers of this show, I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.